Thank you for joining us today for Baker Street Timepieces. This is what episode 10, I believe, of our live stream, the incoming transmission. You got Joseph Holmes with Baker Street Timepieces here alongside.
Tim Holmes, Baker Street Timepieces South.
Well, I guess you're only south now. You were Baker Street Timepieces north a couple hours ago.
Yeah, I was in BST headquarters for a meeting. We had a big powwow. Big
Yeah, so
powwow.
Tim was up visiting for the weekend. He actually left this morning to make sure he got home in time so that we could get on live for this particular stream together. So that's a cool
We had a
one. How's the
very,
drive
very
down?
important meeting. It was awesome. No traffic. And in case anybody's wondering, we are a very professional set of business people. We had our big meeting at Dave and Buster's,
That's right.
at which I was the champion of Basketball Pop-A-Shot Connect Four. I beat both Larissa and Joe to hold the BST championship down.
Yeah, I'm not super happy about that, but it is true. Unfortunately, it did happen, and I think we probably had the
You let
record
me
for
win, to
the
be honest.
the most shots ever taken in basketball Connect Four at Dave and Buster's. It was pretty putrid. Uh,
It was fun.
but
It
anyways,
was
no, it
fun.
was a great time. All right. So what do you say we kick it off with a wristwatch check, and then we'll go
Do it.
into I got a kind of a cool story from this week that was super interesting. So I'll share that with the folks too.
Cool.
You want to start off on the wristwatch check or what?
Yeah, I wound up doing a trade with one of our clients last week, and the watch they sent over is another two-line Tudor Pelagos.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
the more and more I get these and see
yeah.
them, in fact, Joe and I, as we were preparing for the stream, my comment was, I think I could just wear this every day. This is a watch I could wear every day. It's I love it. And it's for sale. If anybody wants it, check out bst.watch or bakerstreettimepieces.com.
There you go. I went with the Seamaster Professional. I don't know. Can you see it? Seamaster Professional in
Yep.
blue on rubber. This is a trade that came in that'll be actually a little bit part of the story, so we'll get into that in a minute. But I feel like these are an interesting watch. I feel like every time I've owned one, I've gotten to a point like 3 months into it where I'm like, maybe there's something else I want to replace it. But then every time one comes back into my life, one way or another, I'm like, I kind of love the way it fits. I like the way it wears. So happy to have this one back for the time being. This one also is available on bakerstreettimepieces.com or bst.watch. So if you're interested in this one, we got one on rubber, and then we have a gray and blue one too, which we'll show here in a bit. Not to give away too many surprises, but on the steel. I don't know. Capable diver. The rubber strap's super comfortable, even though I can't really officially declare summer in Massachusetts, considering it literally snowed last week. But we'll take it from there. But story. So I think it's interesting. I think we've reflected on a couple of times on the channel here, like the connections that you make and the people that you kind of get to know a little bit as we've kind of progressed here. And obviously, the person in particular that we're talking about. Actually, the first time they were trying to buy one watch and they ended up buying two watches right off the bat. And we've kind of had some back and forth. We've purchased some pieces from them. We've taken some pieces on trade, probably 5 or 6 transactions already. And they approached me last week is like, hey, I'm looking for this particular Grail watch. Can you help me locate it? And I also have a bunch of watches I'd like to offload in order to kind of free up some funds for it. And literally within 2 hours, we had come to find the watch you wanted, secure the watch you wanted, and also, agree to a number on all those trades to kind of help them along the process of getting there. So it's just cool to see like those types of things where it took us 2 hours for him to go from not having a grail to, one of the pieces that he's kind of been after for such a long time. So I just think it's interesting to kind of highlight that kind of stuff. Any thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that one of the things that we're starting to see, and again, all gratitude out to all of the clients that and the collectors that support us. But one of the things I think we see is not only repeat business, but we now have people coming to us saying, "Hey, this is what I want. Can you
Yep.
find this for me?" And we're getting, I think we've done like four in the last month where we've sourced something very specifically for a client, and that's just a great feeling, right? Because like we're getting you exactly what you want, and we're helping you find something that is really important to you, and that's why Joe and I do this. It's really not to speak for Joe, but that's I fully would say that that's one of the main reasons why we got into it, was to get people the watches that they really, really wanted. So
Well, I think it's because we can so easily relate to being on the other side of it, right? Where we've been the ones
hmm
tracking it down, and we've been looking to, trade five pieces to try to get into one or something like that. And I feel like that helps us kind of,
hmm
A, have some perspective, and B, just understand just like that moment is exciting, right? And then I feel like if you're buying a watch and the moment's not exciting, then you're not doing it either with the right people or from the right places. Because to me, it should be exciting. Like you should be having fun. It shouldn't be this like kind of, I don't know, annoying process of trying to get into the new watch.
Yeah, no, and I'm reflecting on one of the collectors that we're in the process of getting a piece for him. We had gotten him one, and then kind of there was a change of plans, and now, I mean, we found him a killer example of something very specific that he wanted to gift to his father, and hopefully he'll give us the permission to share the full story, because
Oh,
what we found him, I think, is really, really pretty rare bird, and I think his dad's going to be really happy with it. So I'm excited for him. So hopefully it comes in the next couple of days, and I can get it out to him, and I'll get his permission to share some conversation around it.
I truly hope he lets us share it because that's honestly the piece that we're getting for him is so cool and it's going to mean so much. It's going to be awesome. We had Nick in the
Yeah,
chat, Nick from down in
definitely.
Florida, who said, we've done those trades before. We certainly have. First trade we ever did together was the
hmm
first business we ever did was on something like that. Yeah, no, awesome. So I say without too much further ado, so I think probably a little bit of a lull in terms of new releases, just because obviously Watches and Wonders coming up. So I think once that kicks off, we'll probably get
Correct.
an influx of all sorts of fun stuff to talk about. But for today in particular, we got a couple of new releases that we'll go through. And then from there, we can kind of go into some of the projections for Watches and Wonders. So some of the things that, people are thinking might potentially pop up. And then I think kind of that
Mm.
from there, I know we did some celebrity watch spotting last time, but obviously, if you've been reading the news or not living under a rock, there was a pretty substantial space expedition that happened. So we'll go through some of the watches from the space program. So what do you say? We good to
Yeah.
kick it over?
Yeah, let's find out some new releases ahead of Watches and Wonders. I'm still waiting for my ticket to Switzerland, Joe. It's getting late.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
It's gonna be
authorize that
tough.
expense for me?
That's right. You just gotta, like we said last week, you gotta hop on the train. So we
Hop
got a
on the train to Switzerland.
couple of fun new releases from Zin. This one in particular, so probably not the, I would say, namesake release that they came out with, but to me, this was the one that stuck out to me before. So this is, I guess, the Zin 308 hunting watch. So I guess from like a dial and reflective perspective, it's supposed to be a little bit more muted. I think that's a moon phase, if I remember correctly, on the bottom of the dial itself. Obviously, that Sin
I
integrated
always need to know
magnetic
the phase
bracelet.
of the moon when I go hunting.
That's right. So you can howl at the moon. That's the important part.
Howl at the
Um,
moon.
so yeah, I think it's a pretty cool looking watch. It reminds me of one of those like sector dials, the kind of old school sector dials. This was not like the main portion of the release, but that was that 308 hunting watch. Then there's this 544 with this integrated kind of rubber bracelet on this RS. Kind of cool. RS being that red seconds hand piece. So that's kind of interesting. And
Mm.
then the one piece that's probably kind of the namesake from this release is this 936. Oh, well, I guess I can't verify that I'm human apparently, so we'll have to skip that. There we go. 936, which is in this kind of like all blacked out looking reference. So I don't know. What are your takes on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I particularly like the green first one that you had up. I thought that
Yep.
that was pretty cool looking. I'm not a giant Zin fan. I don't know much about them.
Yep.
Do they have like a longer standing history, or are they more of a newer micro brand?
No, no, no. Longer standing history for sure. German brand. Kind of that whole
German
Bauhaus
brand, I knew
movement.
that.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, the green one I think is more interesting. The all black is fun. Always like all black pieces, especially on rubber.
Yeah.
What are the price points like, Joe? Where are these
This is
sitting
what
in the market?
41 4,100 euros on this one in particular. I
Okay.
think some of the other ones that were released were kind of closer to that 2,000 euros mark. Let's see if we get some prices on the rest of them. Yeah, 25,
And are those
70.
in-house calibers, or are they using like an ETA or a Valjoux or something?
Good question. I know some of the old ones were not. I don't know on these. I'd have to take a look.
Mm,
Oh, look at that. There you go.
didn't mean to catch you off guard.
If you're out hunting here, you could look at that. Let's see what we find.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not saying it right off the rip. We can take a look. Let's see, move mechanical.
Yeah, no
SW
stress. I was just curious.
381. So, anyways, that's the releases from Zin. I don't know. I thought some interesting stuff there. So nothing kind of I guess revolutionary, but this is kind of an interesting one to me.
Yeah,
Let's
I
see.
like that green look. I think that's. I always like green watches, and then I never can wear them.
Yeah, yeah.
From the Starbucks that I had, I had the IWC Pilot in green.
Yeah,
I've had
yeah.
a couple of green ones, and none of them have stuck around. Had an Oris that was green.
You've had it all. You've had all the green watches. All right, so
Yeah,
there's
all the
Zin.
greens.
Next up, new release from Hamilton on their Khaki Field King. So this is more of kind of like a reimagination of what it was before. So if, I don't know if you remember the reference, but they kind of used to have the 24-hour circle in between in the like center of the dial, so it was a lot more cluttered, I'd say. They got rid of
Hmm.
that and kind of changed the case shape ever so slightly. I think it looks definitely better than the old one. I wish I had another the older one to kind of compare against. But I think when you look at these are kind of that first foray into kind of a Swiss watch or something along those lines. Certainly one of those field watches you could see being a good, I would say, gateway watch into other things. But I don't know. What are your take on these?
Yeah, I mean, I like the khakis, the Hamilton khakis. We had a Murph in a couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago. I made a mistake and bought it as a brand new watch, which meant I couldn't wear it. So I was kind of pissy about that. So I'll have to buy a used one next time so I can actually wear it. But yeah, I think our father has a khaki field
Yeah.
that I think is pretty cool. And one of the things that shocked me, and I, we were talking about this while I was up in BST North with some of the pieces we may talk about later. Um, some of these kind of, I don't want to use the wrong word here, but like the kind of more price conscious brands, we're throwing them on the time grapher and getting like almost COSC level results out of a
Yeah.
very not regulated movement. Um, I'm really impressed. Like that Murph that we had ran dead even. It was
Yeah.
it was zero plus minus at like 300 and something amps, and I was just like, for $700, I think is what we wound up selling that watch for.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, that you can get something that accurate mechanical.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Especially when you start to think of even like some of the Oris and stuff like. I know you get a little bit
Yep.
more regulation in some of those items, but like a lot of that is you see some really really good performance numbers from them for sure. So this is kind of the big news. Like I said, I think it was pretty low key week, and this is actually 2 weeks worth before kind of Watches and Wonders, which I know there's going to be quite a few different things that come out there. So we do have a couple of let's see if we can jump into it. So a couple of random predictions that we pulled together from around the internet in terms of like some things that could potentially happen with Rolex and Tudor specifically, because obviously Tudor's a big brand here on the
Hold on,
on the
Joe.
website. Go ahead.
Hold on. I got a super hot take. You ready for my hot take? This
It's a
is
little
this
early
is
in the
me
stream
predicting
for
the
hot
future.
takes, but let's do it.
This is me predicting the future. Whatever new Rolex comes out will sell for more money than it actually retails for. That's my hot take for the day.
I think you could take that hot
Especially if
take to
it's
the
a
bank.
Daytona or a GMT. Yeah, you can take
Yeah.
that one to the bank.
Yeah. I don't know. Some interesting thoughts on the Milgauss coming back. I guess I was discontinued, what, 2016? Somewhere in there?
I'm still mad I sold my Milgauss. I want my
Oh,
Milgauss back. And
it's
it went
just
up
too.
in value since I sold it.
Nah, it's too thick. That was my biggest complaint about it. I feel like it was just like, hey, it's like all the comfort of a Datejust with just a little bit extra there. Oh, Nick likes your bold
I think
prediction.
just for that reason I liked it.
Nick, what do we got on Rolex predictions? What are you thinking, bud?
Yeah. What do you got?
Um, these are kind of interesting takes. I know this is all hearsay, speculation. None of this is official. Obviously, we don't know anything more than everybody else knows. But some interesting takes on the Milgauss here. What else did they have? The Land Dweller. moving away from just the regular dial configurations into something like this. I think that's kind of interesting. Different dial colors there, with and without kind of the textured dial, it looks like. This dial color is what? What would this technically be? I'm colorblind, so you'll have to pick me up here.
It kind of looks like a beige to me, but
Beige.
it's pretty small in my view.
Yeah, two-tone with the smooth. I think these are all a little bit interesting takes. Some
Those are
reimagination
Oyster
on
Perpetuals, right? I
this
had
one
read
here is
something
still the
about
Land Dweller.
Land Dweller. I had read about an OP two-tone coming out, but it's going to be a all stainless bracelet, and the only two-tone aspect will be the watch head, which is kind of
Interesting.
reminiscent of some of the Tudor stuff that I've seen, which is interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Some changes to the Explorer, maybe. I don't know. I kind of don't see that happening just because they did some refreshes on that not too long ago. So I don't see that being a big change there. Then Daytona on a Jubilee. I think that would be awesome. Like, I don't know if they're gonna go that direction, but it would be an interesting thing to
If
see
they
if
put a
could.
Daytona on a Jubilee, it's going to sell for 50 grand on the market, like immediately. It's
Yeah.
going to be so silly. People will be paying 50 grand for what amounts to an $18,000 watch. Probably. Well, what are the list prices on Daytonas? Are they up over a 15 yet? Probably just at it for stainless
Yeah.
steel.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
What
Nick's
a
got a
brilliant
bunch of
set of
hot takes
marketers they
here.
are.
New dials on the
Oh,
Land
yeah,
Dweller,
let's
so
hit
that
'em.
sounds good. Possible black,
Yeah,
that makes sense. 100-year marking, two-tone gold OP. That's what you were kind of talking about.
that's what I
GMT
heard.
Coke
Yep.
revamps, and then Pepsi discontinued, is what he's saying. So we're not going to get a Jubilee for the Daytona. I think we need one. I think we've earned it.
I heard a polar bear Daytona, all white.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens there. They also talked about this, the Explorer in a white dial, which I thought is kind of cool.
Love it. I'm into
Right?
that. Listen, I hope they put out a white Daytona because then that'll maybe make my older white Daytona go back
More
up again.
valuable.
You know, maybe that'll get even more valuable.
So we'll
I
see.
haven't worn
I
that
mean,
on the
this
stream
is,
yet. I'll have to wear my Daytona on the stream one of these days.
yeah. So I would say these are just, generally speaking, speculation. This is just obviously this website's kind of thought process on it. There's been a million different people thinking a million different things. I think we've probably all heard the idea of the Pepsi being discontinued, like Nick was alluded to before. But we'll
Yep.
see. I think it's going to be interesting. I think we'll see, hopefully, a little bit more stuff leaking out over the next couple of days. That way we can start to feel more comfortable in what's actually going to happen. So we'll see what happens. And then,
Joe, did I send you that hideous picture of a mock-up GMT that they were rumoring to come out, the ketchup and mustard one, with a red and yellow GMT? It's
I
so
love it.
terrible looking.
What's that? Chiefs colors?
Oh
All
man,
the Chiefs fans could get one.
sold out for like 100 grand. Yeah, it was Big Mac. They're gonna call it the Big Mac.
The Big Mac. Oh God, I love it. Hopefully they release it.
Sell for 100 grand.
That sounds ridiculous.
I'd
Some
get a
Tudor
kick out of it.
predictions. What was I gonna say on these? Yeah, the big block Tudor, kind of that Tudor equivalent of the Daytona style. So not kind of that heritage Black Bay chronograph, but more kind of harkening back to the Prince date, etc. That would be
I know
interesting.
somebody has got one of those.
Yeah, I was gonna wear it on stream, but I can't find links for it. I bought that a couple of weeks ago from one of our clients actually for personal use, and my wrists are just a little too manly for the bracelet that's on there.
We've heard that before. We've heard that
We'll
before.
have to figure that out. Yeah, so interesting on that. I don't see this happening. I think it's too similar to the Heritage Black Bay chronograph, so I don't foresee that happening. I guess this is like a blue sunburst style for the Black Bay 58, which would be
That's hot.
interesting. I would probably wear it. This I think is awesome. If they made this dial
Like a mint
configuration or this configuration just a little bit bigger, I would definitely be open. So that's like that lagoon blue, and then they went into what is this, like a pink kind of the textured dial. I think it looks awesome. It's just a little too small for
Well, it's
me.
not pink. It's either like a mint green and a lavender is what I see, and I'm not colorblind, so
Well, you know what? I'll
I
trust
don't
your
have my
colors.
glasses on,
I'll trust your color
so
understanding
everything's
more
a
so
little
than
blurry
mine.
today. There we go.
Yeah, so it's saying classic pink version with purple tracks, and then lagoon green with dark
There you go.
green contrast. Yeah. So, and then I think this would
Love
be awesome. I think they should do this if they're not going to do it. This is the Pelagos, what they're calling ultra dark. I think it's like all PVD
Yeah.
PVD coated for the Pelagos. I think that looks really really cool. I'd be cool. Well, I'd be interested to see what the loom on the, because that's one of the ones with the loomed bezel. How that would look against it. It would look pretty sick. So I'm kind of in on that.
Yeah, I agree.
What are your thoughts?
I like all of that. I'm bringing all of that on. I think all of that is great.
Yeah.
I want to sell it on the retail market, on the resale market,
Yep.
and I think it's all great design ideas.
Nice. Well, we'll keep moving on. But if anybody has any interesting kind of thoughts on the stuff that is rumored for Tudor, please let us know. I really wish they would make this slightly bigger. If they made this in a Black Bay 58 size, because I think this comes in at like 36, if I remember correctly. If they
It's a
made this just
54.
yeah. So if they made that just a little bit bigger, if they
Yep.
made a Black Bay 58 with that textured dial, I would be very, very interested in owning one of those.
Sounds
All
good.
right, so that's kind of some fun new release stuff, and now we'll move on to the watches of Artemis. So obviously, big news, whole process. Everybody's back home safe and sound. I know they did their press conference, but what I thought was interesting is this article actually broke down like watches they wore pre-flight, watches they wore on flight. It was kind of interesting. So we'll just kind of rip down through the list here. I don't think we need to kind of beat it up too much. This is an older watch that I guess he was spotted wearing, which is the Marathon chronograph, which is definitely a cool looking piece. And then here, that's the Breitling Endurance on an outer known strap. That's a traditional Speedmaster moon watch. And that is the Omega X33, which is that like kind of hybrid digital. And I think there's a picture of it later on in the article, but that hybrid kind of digital and analog. And then I guess the lone Canadian decided he wanted to have kind of pretty poor taste in straps in watches with his Apple Watch, but everybody else I could get behind. And then over here on the left, it's some sort of Citizen Pilot watch. And then that's the Breitling Cosmonaut, which I think is kind of an interesting selection. But I think it looks pretty cool.
Always like the Cosmonaut.
Yeah.
I'm surprised nobody wore a Breitling Emergency and see if it works in space.
Right. Pull the pin on that thing, get charged
Pull the pin in space and see if they send a helicopter. Yeah, I don't know.
And then I guess at Blast Off, we're rocking the X33. So yeah, kind of interesting to break down all those watches. It seems like Omega was certainly trying to use it as a time to shine. Obviously, launching the new Speedmaster right before it. So that's kind of where we're at on those for the day.
I wonder where I saw one of those new Speedmasters. I guess we'll just have to be patient.
Dude, a new Speedmaster. That's a nice watch. Anywho, so yeah, that concludes kind of watches to the moon, and that concludes kind of the news portion of the day. Now we'll move into some from the desk. You ready for that? You ready to kick in?
I am. Yeah, I think I'm ready to rumble. I think we just alluded to something happening.
That's right. So I'm gonna
see if I can make something happen.
I'll kick us off here. So first up, we have, now this is a super cool piece. Got this from a close friend of the brand's, actually located in Rhode Island. So this is case number 313, references 212 30 41 20 01 001. And this is the Seamaster Professional James Bond. So this one, the piece that makes it super cool, and I put some of the actual documentation behind it. This is a full collector's kit for this particular watch. So Speedmaster from that time frame, it's got box, papers, warranty card. It's got the authentication certificate that is from James, the actual James Bond authentication certificate, as well as like the plastic wrapper that came in originally. It's literally everything that you would possibly want. My favorite thing on this is for most people is the 007 on the back as like the counterbalance for the second hand. I think that's super cool. And this piece was, I would say, while not a safe queen, it was worn gently. Even the bracelet is in really, really nice shape. The case flanks, everything about it. Whoever gets this piece is going to be somebody who wanted this piece for sure. And it's going to be an awesome add to their collection. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to know, in the traditional Omega wallet with all the cards, the license to kill comes with it, right?
Yeah, of course. We'll add it in there. There'll be a Baker Street
timepiece. I'll make one. I'll get Harry to make it. It'll look great.
There you go. Yeah, no, all three cards though comes with everything. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
this is like,
I think it's awesome. I mean, listen, if you're a 007 guy, a fan, or gal. There is no more 007 than this. This is the one. And like you said, it's just so rare to see something that is so complete. That at this point, you're really approaching a 20-year-old timepiece. Probably the amount of full collector kits is dropping off quite precipitously. So yeah, nice
Yeah.
watch.
No, it's super cool. I'm happy to own it. We're not wearing it because we want to preserve its collectorsness. So whoever's getting this will have the ability to wear it themselves. But
Yep.
all right, that was mine. You ready for yours?
Yep. It's in frame, ready to roll. We talked a
Aha!
little bit about it. Oh, look at that. New Speedy in a new colorway. What else will they think of? Reverse Panda Moonwatch. This is probably maybe minus the Snoopy about the hottest thing that is in the Speedmaster lineup at the moment. Obviously, this is a 2026. Just came out a couple of weeks ago. Big long reference number 3103042500100 hike. um you know it's funny. I have an older Moonwatch that I like quite a bit. I put this watch on, and this one is one of the first newer Speedmasters that I put on in a long time where I was like, you know what, I would consider buying this watch. And
Yeah.
here's an opportunity to take a little shave and a haircut off of it. You can get it a couple bucks cheaper, and you can have it in hand tomorrow if that's your so desired thing. Case number 319. Again, it's funny. I was looking at it. We went out to dinner. It was last night, and I wore it to dinner, and I was looking at it as we were sitting there. I was like, yeah, this punches in that $10,000 plus weight class. Like, it really, really does. And I think that's the first one that I've said that about, other than the Snoopy. So.
We got Brian joining us. He said, "What's up?" And then he said, "You know what's better than a moon watch? A chronoscope,
Yep, I
a
I love
blue
him.
a blue chronoscope, might I add." Um,
Hey, oddly enough, Brian, you got the nice one, but we have another nice one if somebody else wants a blue chronoscope. So
well, it's
just pass
gray,
that
gray
along.
and blue, gray and
Right,
blue. He
right,
considered
right,
that
right.
one. Don't worry. Yeah, so I would say, having seen this watch in person for the first time over the weekend when you were up visiting, I initially thought it was going to be a little too much for me, and then when I tried it on for a second, it actually, I love it. It's almost like a modernized version of the original. The white subdials to me make it pop a lot, and that kind of the way the bezel plays with light now versus the older one, it's just a little bit different. It makes it a little bit shinier, it's a little flashier, which is, depending on what you want, if that's what you're okay with. It doesn't have the same warmth, I feel like, as the metal bezel, but great piece all around, and I think it wears awesome.
Yeah, it does. It wears great. It's just big enough to feel substantial, but at 42, it's not over the top and into Big Ben territory. It's certainly
Yeah.
not an Invicta.
No, no, definitely not. All right, I think you're up for the next one, so I'll cut back to
Yeah,
us,
yeah, yeah. Let,
and
let
then
me
I'll
go from something sporty with a lot of heritage to. Hold on one second. Let me get it.
I guess while we're on the topic, as you're switching it out, what are people's thoughts? I know we reviewed it a couple weeks back when it first launched. What are people's thoughts on the Reverse Panda, on the new Moonwatch? Do we think it's too much of a stray from kind of what the classic is, or do we think it's kind of a welcome addition? See what people think of that idea.
Yeah. So going all the way back in time into history,
Ready?
into horological history. Yeah, I think we should be good. Let's see if I. Nope. What the hell?
I don't know. Try it again.
My
Ready?
fingers are not there anymore. So try again.
Hold on. All right.
Ooh,
That looks
it's very
pretty
clear.
clear. We can definitely tell what it is.
Yeah, it's
Hold on.
almost a watch.
Let me see if I can make some adjustments for us. Just talk about it. I'll see what we can do here.
Yeah. So for those who don't know the history of the modern wristwatch, um, what do you call it? Louis Cartier had a friend whose name was Santos Dumont, and he flew hot air balloons. And typically, the men of that time wore pocket watches, and he went to Louis Cartier and said, "I can't use this because it takes two hands for me to read it, and I need to have my hands on the balloon controls." So Louis Cartier made him the Santos Dumont, and this is the modern iteration of the said Santos Dumont. This is a quartz variant. It's case number 316. Um, One of the things that I like about this watch, and I'm not going to talk too much about it, Joe. I want your feedback on it more than my own. I think this is an awesome luxury dress watch that is very at home dressed down.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it really, really has like a sportsman's DNA while still being high jewelry Cartier design. That's my opinion of it. I've yet to wear it. I honestly, I've kind of like looked at it quite a few times, and I'm like, I want to put that on, but I'm just not sure how to wear it yet. But it's beautiful, and somebody's going to be really, really happy. It's in great shape. It's a 2025. We've got the card with it, and yeah, it's just a really great crossover between dress and sport.
I would say my take on this watch in particular is with the leather strap. I think it actually wears and pairs nicely with a pair of jeans the same way it could pair with a dress shirt. It's super thin, fits under a dress shirt, no problem. And I think with almost all the pieces and offerings from Cartier, you get this almost jewelry first edge when it comes to
Yep.
the fit and finish of the watch. And I think it almost becomes I know watches are an accessory, so don't kill me in the comments, but like it almost becomes more of a jewelry accessory versus like a timekeeping accessory in my opinion. Because I remember back to when you had the Roadster and you first showed it to me, and I was looking at it and I was like, this bracelet is wild. But it was
Yep.
very much like intended to be that way. It was more like wearing a bracelet versus wearing a
Yep.
watch's bracelet. And I think Cartier continues to do that with almost all their pieces. I think the fit and finish and just the way it wears is just almost more elegant than what I'm used to more so, which is more the tool watch, dive watch kind of category. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm with you on that one.
Honestly, the couple times I've tried it on, like I said, I haven't worn it out, but I've tried it on a couple of times, and it literally just disappears onto your wrist. You
Yeah.
really don't feel like you're wearing very much of anything, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, good looking piece for sure. I'll
Yep.
let you switch out. Hopefully
Yep.
it'll work this time smoothly. I know we had a couple of comments on the speedy that we'll go through. So Brian was saying that from a modernization perspective, he's good with that. He prefers if we're not just kind of recreating the same old thing. Well, hence why you bought the Chronoscope, because that's very different than I guess a traditional speedy would be. And then Nick had, if you want a Daytona and can't get one, this is an incredible second option. Yeah, and I would
Yeah.
agree with you. And I hope over time, like the pricing on those will settle a little bit more. I know right now it's kind of a hot commodity, so there's a lot of people who are after it. You're actually saving a few bucks with ours because it's watching cards. So you give
Yep.
yourself the same. It's in beautiful condition. Everything about it is very very nice, but you don't get the box, and you save yourself a few bucks for that.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, I think we should be good. Yep.
Oh, we were pretty
So
close.
close. So
Pretty
close.
close.
Hold on. I'll get it in the frame eventually.
There you go.
There it is. Look at that.
Nice.
Why don't you
I'm
talk
in.
about this one?
Sold.
Tell me.
I mean, sure. So obviously part of the Portugueser line. I don't think I've probably said it a few times on stream already. I am an absolute sucker for a sub second hand. I think the way the Portugueser has like kind of those blued hands and indices. To me, I just love it. It just speaks to me. I think that against the silverish dial, always looked super elegant in my opinion. I think this is almost a little bit more on the dress side, just because of the fact that you don't have the chronograph that comes along with like the Portugueser chronograph,
Mhm.
which kind of a fun aside, but was one of the first watches I ever coveted. Like I saw
Mhm.
that watch, and I wasn't even like a really big watch person at the time. I was like, "Oh, that's really pretty. I want to own one." And I later fulfilled that dream, and then traded it and sold it and bought it again, and God knows what. Hashtag watch stuff. But anyways, this to me is almost like it loses a little bit of the thickness of the chronograph. So from that perspective, it's almost more that traditional true dress watch. and at the same time, I think still adds a little bit of interest with having the sub-second dial. What's your thoughts on
Yep.
that?
So, couldn't agree more on the blued hands, blued indices. I'm gonna hot take it and call it a baby Breguet, which is the dress watch that I would like to own at some point. If I ever had any real reason to own a dress watch, I would own a Breguet in white gold with a very similar layout to this. This is a great way to get 90% of that look for, call it, a quarter of the price, which is a
Yeah.
pretty amazing deal if you really think about it, especially if you're not the kind of person who wears a dress watch frequently. This is a great way to have something under the sleeve that, you know, uh, punches high. I think it punches above its weight class in this particular, this particular genre.
Yeah.
I agree also in as far as the sub-seconds is concerned. I think that for me is the ultimate expression of a little bit of uniqueness in a dress watch. So many dress watches, you have your obviously your three hand configurations, and then typically when you start to get into some of the more elaborate, complications, you have moon phases, you have a couple other,
Yeah.
things, all the way up to all kinds of open hearts, that kind of stuff. But this to me is a very unique and understated dress watch without going, full blown into, moon phases and tourbillons and that kind of stuff.
Do you know what I think the only thing that would make this watch better would be?
What's that?
Maybe if you wound it so it would be running when we were watching it, that would have been super cool.
I didn't wind it enough.
Anyways, no, I think it's a great piece. I think all the pieces, all the points that we just talked about make it something that I would be interested in having for sure.
Yep. Yeah, very good deal. Case 335 on the old bst.watch or bakerstreettimepieces.com.
All right, I think I get to go now.
Yeah, you're next.
Oh, now I got one that's out of focus here.
Oh, you choked.
That was close. All right. I mean, I'm sure nobody here has ever seen one of these. So this is Seamaster Professional in the blue-gray configuration. This one in particular is offered complete short. I think 2 links on this one. So, obviously, if you're in need of links to make this one work for you, certainly reach out to us. We can help with that. But I think for this one, it just gives a little bit more, I would say, kind of dynamics versus the all blue. It's a little bit different colorway in terms of like the blue on the bezel itself. And I think the gray against the blue, I actually prefer this one on rubber, but on the steel, I think it also looks great. But I also think against that gray dial, those loom plots to me are like they pop. And that's like something that I think is really one of the kind of key things of this reference in particular. Obviously, wave dial, you guys probably know all about that. And this one is case 271. What's your take on this?
Yeah, so when I first opened the box, when this shipped over to us, I hadn't seen this colorway before, and I just saw gray, and I didn't realize that it was going to be gray and blue. And I think, other than the white, which I'm not out on a limb saying that is probably my favorite, and most people probably gravitate towards the white SMP. I think that watch combination is really, really good looking. And if I were going to buy one, I probably would buy this colorway, even
The
though I
gray and
think the
blue.
white's more versatile. Yeah, I would buy the gray blue. And if you really think about it, I have an electric blue SMP personally. So yeah, blue SMPs are in my wheelhouse, and I think this particular one really looks great. I've had the chance to wear it once or twice, and I think it looks awesome.
Well, I tried and admittedly failed to try to get them all stuffed into the camera lens, but I couldn't quite get it done. But what I will say is, let's see if I can pick this up for just a second so you can see the variations in the dials. All right, let's see if this thing focuses.
Nope.
There you go. So I think like the gray just has a little bit more dynamics to it, right? And I think I could understand why people prefer that one for sure. So
Yeah, I would like it would be no contest to me between the full blue that you just had and the
Yeah.
blue gray. I think the blue gray looks like infinitely better.
Wow. Strong terms. That's a bit of a hot take, I'd say.
Listen, that's my hot take.
Multiple hot takes for the day. All right, we got one
Oh,
more. You're gonna load it up. I guess while
yeah,
we're
it's loaded. It's
oh
in there.
nice. So while we're switching out, I guess anybody have a favorite color on the SMPs? Brian, I know
Yeah.
you've probably owned pretty much every one of them, and I think I know which one you're gonna choose. But at the same time, I'll ask it anyway. Anybody else have a particular preference on the SMPs as we move into our next one here? And I'll pull yours up. Oh boy, look at this thing, huh?
It's so big. And it's not even the big one.
No.
There's a bigger one. This is the 42. So Bell and Ross, there's some people out there that are going to have some negative as associated with Bell and Ross. It's kind of it's
It's
a Salida
newer.
movement. It's not hierology. It's what is it really? I think for kind of a badass looking military inspired aviation cockpit inspired watch, I like it. I've owned one. I actually have owned two. I've debated buying this one when I first saw it from us. And I think why, in this particular case, the PVD coating is in pretty good shape, but it does have a couple of nicks and scratches, which I think gives it great character. The It's hard to see on the stream, but those are like kind of like a tan, like a dunish color um set of loom plots, and all the numerals and the hands are all that. So it really kind of looks different and out of the ordinary when you put it on. And at the end of the day, I mean, there's just no denying when you put a 42 millimeter square on your wrist, it is hard to miss. And
Yeah.
if I was a police officer, if I were any kind of active military, this is the kind of a watch that I would consider to wear that just says, "Hey, I mean business. This thing's built like a tank." And again, because it is a Salida and not a super expensive movement, this is the kind of thing you can keep running fairly inexpensively. Um, I don't know. That's my hot take on it, and honestly, it's reasonable. I mean,
Yeah.
these things new. I don't know what ganja they're smoking, what state it's legal in, but these are like 5 grand now new. I don't know who pays that. God bless them if they do. But I
Yeah.
mean, this one I think we have it up on the website at like $1,600, and for $1,600, it's a heck of a lot to watch.
Yeah, I think the biggest knock on stuff like this is like there's just not that much history to it, right? I think Bell and Ross, if I remember correctly, is early 90s, 91, 92, somewhere in
Yep.
that range. Um, but I think, when you look at it, you know what it's designed after, you know where the design history came from, like it's aviation through and through. And I think the other piece is like this is a watch that looks amazing with a pair of jeans, right? You
Yep.
have something like that, maybe a field jacket on, somewhere along those lines, like that watch is going to look right at home. And it's just knowing when to wear it and kind of where it fits into your collection. So like that's kind of the key things for me. But
Yep.
I love a good casual watch, so I got no problems with that. I do love the black and then that kind of sand color. I think that looks really,
Yep.
really nice together. And then I also love on a lot of them, and this one is included, that very, very tiny circular date window. I think that's kind of a
Hmm.
cool add on, right? It's just like
Yep.
it's there if you need it, but if not, you'd almost not even notice. It kind of blends in. And then
Well, if
obviously the
you're if
big
you're an operator like me and you're doing, like
covert
super
missions.
clandestine missions, the date isn't anywhere near as important as like
That's right.
timing exactly what time you need to strike your target.
That's right. That's right. And I assume we're talking about finding things in a cabinet or something. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyways,
When I'm gonna strike my next protein bar, I
there
wear
you
my
go.
Bell and Ross.
There you go. Yeah, no, cool piece. Certainly one of the ones where like it has a little bit of a divisive, I would say, fan base, but the people that love them for a reason. And I think there's also a ton of models that are a little bit less kind of, I would say, like military inspired, or take some of those hues and then bring in some more kind of classic watch styling. So,
Yeah.
um, Definitely spans
You know
me
who
out on
you
that.
know who wore Bell and Ross? I think it might have been an ambassador for them for a while. I think Schwarzenegger was a brand ambassador or just a fan. Because I remember he would
Really?
be, they had him wearing them for a while. I don't remember if he was an ambassador though, or if he just liked them.
Get all oiled up in his competitions and put his Bell and Ross on.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly
Well,
right.
listen, it is what it is. I think from an inventory perspective, that's probably what we got for the day. I would say,
Oh, hold on here. That's selling us short. Joe has done a phenomenal job getting out in the field and acquiring a massive increase to our inventory.
yeah,
And again, all gratitude towards all the clients who have supported us that have allowed us to grow that way. When we first started BST a little more than 9 months ago, we had 5 watches in stock. We're over 50 in stock right now. And
it's true.
honestly, we didn't have the time. We would have been here for another hour going through 15, 20 more pieces, all stuff we bought in the last week. So if you haven't checked the bst.watch or bakerstreettimepieces.com, please do go check it out because there's some really incredible inventory that we couldn't feature everything today. We tried to pick some stuff out that was interesting, but we have a ton of stuff from $500 neo vintage Tag Heuer on up to the $10,000 hot as a pistol Panda reverse Panda Speedmaster. So something for everybody. Buy a gift for somebody. Who knows?
Buy a gift for yourself.
Buy a gift
I've
for
done it.
yourself. I do it.
Anyways,
What does the Peanut Gallery have to say? Any cool comments out there?
yeah,
Brian, I
Nick just
know
said
was
keep
hanging
growing,
around.
keep pushing. So I appreciate that, Nick. Hopefully one day
Yeah,
we'll play in
appreciate
the same
that.
circles you do, bud.
Yeah,
Guys selling Rolexes like they're bubblicious. But anyways,
bubblicious. I
no,
think that's it, man.
I think we're good. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, hanging out with us for a little bit. And please, I encourage you guys all. I mean, you guys know me and Tim. I think for the most part, everybody in this chat knows us. If there's something you want to see, let us know. We are totally open to the concept of making changes. We think it's kind of fun to look at some celebrity watches and things like that. So we'll kind of work that in. But if you think of other things that you're like, hey, it'd be really cool if you did this, we're happy to do it. We do want to share some customer stories over time. That's on the list of kind of things we're thinking about getting to. But like I said, always open to ideas. So certainly let us know.
Yeah, and I'll do one quick begging, which is that if you're liking the content and you think that this stuff is at least mildly funny or interesting or entertaining or educational, please feel free to hit a share. That would go a long way, to helping us get the things, get things growing. We would really appreciate that. And then I know, lastly, we owe some contest updates. Honestly, with me being out of town last week, I took an impromptu couple of days off, and then traveling up to BST headquarters this week, we didn't get a chance to finalize the details on those 2 contests. So we owe a cart payout, so we'll get that for next week. And then we did tease we are giving away a watch in the final quarter of the year for us.
Yes, sir.
That watch has been purchased. In fact, if you have a good guess, I'll throw one out there. If anybody wants to get an extra entrance to win the watch, it is currently shown as in inventory on the
Ah,
bst.com, bst.watch or bakerstreettimepieces.com website. So if you can correctly identify the watch we're going to give away, I'll give you an extra entry into the chance to win. So throw it in the chat or throw it in the YouTube comments, or feel free to send us an email at info@bakerstreettimepieces.com.
love it. Well, again, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Until next week on Sunday, I guess, for this case closed.
Case closed. We'll see you all next week.